One Piece finally revealed the Devil Fruit power of one of the Gorosei, Saint Jaygarcia Saturn. However, since his Devil Fruit is a zoan based on a creature from Japanese mythology, you may not be very familiar with what exactly it's meant to be, and may also not know the powers that this creature possesses, such as the belief from Japanese folklore that it can instantly kill those it scares, among other abilities. Not to mention, the folklore behind this fruit gives us a very good idea what the fruits of the other Gorosei, and even that of Imu directly, may actually be. So allow me to break down all the cultural nuances you need to understand the secrets of Saturn's abilities. Oh, and before we begin, I just want to tell you very quickly that my massive mega project, the sequel to the true history, the biggest One Piece theory ever made, is finally complete! Yes, finally I am ready to publish all the episodes of my second season of my mega theory, which will work like this. This mega theory is split into 3 episodes, which will release weekly over the course of the following weeks, with the final video of course culminating into explaining what I believe to be the One Piece treasure itself. However, if you're feeling impatient, you can get access to all 3 episodes right now on my Patreon's 3rd tier, and get to know the truth of the One Piece treasure this very moment. If you can't spare that though, then I hope you can still look forward to the release of these videos over the coming weeks. I'm not exaggerating when I say that I believe these are the best videos I've ever made, even better than my previous mega theory, so I hope you can enjoy them. However, as Luffy continues to battle with Kizaru, he unleashes a new attack which he calls Gomu Gomu no Star Pistol. This is an evident reference to the cartoon stars that form from this punch, but the reference goes deeper with the kanji reading being White Star Gan. The use of white here is consistent with the presence of the same kanji present in Luffy's other Gear 5 attacks, such as Dawn Whip, which had the kanji for White Whip. Similarly, in this attack it reads as White Star, which likely refers to the sun itself, the white star that brings the dawn, and is the symbol of the sun god Nika. This goes even deeper though, as the kanji for white and sun are practically identical with only a stroke of difference, so the white in these attacks is referencing the sun directly as well. But there's another layer to this, which is an incredibly neat detail that Oda has added. As we know, both Imu and Joy Boy follow a lot of parallels, and one of them lays in their names. Both of Imu's names, Norona and Imu, are written in katakana, but the katakana characters that form the characters for Nerona, for example, can be combined together to form the kanji for God, in reference to Imu's godly status. Similarly, the katakana for Imu can be combined together to form the kanji for Buddha, another deity. And the same applies for Nika as well, as taking both of the katakana for Nika spells out the kanji for either white or sun, of which of course Nika is emblematic. This of course is on top of the fact that Nika is a sound effect for laughter, but who knew that such secrets still lay in their names? On the other side of the battlefield though, Bonney finds herself ambushed, attacked by Vice Admiral Bluegrass. Bluegrass is a specific type of plant, but also more broadly refers to a genre of country music. She has the Nori Nori no Mi, or Right fruit, which seemingly lets her command any creature or thing that she rides. Bonney is also attacked by another Vice Admiral who unleashes an attack called Rakko Hammer. Rakko is the Japanese name for sea otter, and if you look closely at this panel, the Vice Admiral appears to have some sea otter features it did not have before, meaning that he likely has eaten a zoan sea otter devil fruit. Bonney fights back using an attack called NDE, which refers to near-death experience, as indicated by its kanji reading as well, a set of sensations the body goes through when it believes to be on the edge of death. In this case, it causes the targets to literally feel as if they had aged all the way to death, causing an overwhelming emotional shock. On the topic of Bonney though, interestingly, she seems to infer on how Saturn has now become the new target of her rage, in an ironic twist of fate, as she previously stopped Zoro from attacking a celestial dragon, only for now to be the one attacking one. As she mentioned to Kizaru, Bonney has stopped hating Vegapunk after learning the truth in Kuma's memories, but in turn, her rage has shifted to a new target, which now appears to, oddly enough, be Saturn, or more likely the Gorosei in general, due to some reason regarding something she saw in Kuma's past. Particularly at the end of the chapter, these lines echo in her head. I was the one who ordered it done so, Vegapunk. He absolutely cannot be allowed to retain his will. But then, if that's the case, then Kuma will... It's unclear how exactly is speaking each line, but at the very least the first one appears to be someone speaking directly to Vegapunk, as they mention his name, and they seemingly follow by stating that they cannot allow Kuma to retain his will and sense of self. After that, it appears another person is replying, likely Vegapunk, as it would make sense he would reply by being distraught at Kuma being forced to abandon his will. Given the context though, it would seem to imply that the first subject would be Saturn, having stated to be the one, or ones with the Gorosei as a whole, to have ordered the removal of Kuma's consciousness, which seemingly angered Vegapunk, who didn't want to go through with it, though again it's hard to say without the full context. But if that is the case, why did the government want Kuma to lose his will, and why did Vegapunk agree to go with it in the end? What exactly happened to Kuma to end up as he is right now? Regardless, there's a far more pressing matter with this chapter aside from that, and that of course is what we've all been waiting for, as one of the Gorosei finally makes his move. From a demonic magic circle on the ground appears Saint Jaygarcia Saturn, the war god of scientific defense, finally showcasing his devil fruit powers. On top of his head he has two large horns and two large bovine-like ears, just like the silhouette we saw him in during his attack on Sabo in chapter 1085. Now in this case he appears to be in his fully transformed animal form. In this case, he is evidently in his hybrid form, as unlike that other time, he still features some human traits, though some things like his hands have become a bit deformed, now sporting much more prominent claws. And of course, as expected, this is also Saturn's awakened Zoan form, which may explain the massive beard and some other features like the devil fruit swirls on his legs, which seem to appear more commonly in awakened users such as Luffy, Lucci, or Yamato. The fact he is awakened is indicated by the cloud scarf he has around his neck, known as a Hagoromo, which is a symbol of divinity from Japanese folklore that we've seen from other awakened Zoan users such as Luffy, Lucci, Kaku, and implicitly Yamato as well, which helps indicate when a Zoan user is awakened. However, Saturn's lower body instead looks like that of a spider with a large abdomen and several legs sprouting from it. Some readers might be confused at this bizarre form, especially as we don't get a name for it this chapter, but if you're familiar with Japanese folklore, this creature should actually be very familiar to you. But if you're not, allow me to get you up to speed. This is an Ushi-oni, a yokai demon from Shinto culture. It's known as either Ushi-oni or Yuki, both being different kanji readings of the same word, which translates to cow devil. Depictions of this creature present it as a terrifying hybrid between a cow and a spider. It has the abdomen and legs of a spider, but the skin and head of a cow. Additionally, it is as big as an actual cow, making it a dangerous and vicious predator who feeds on humans by lurking the coasts of Japan. Furthermore, as a mythical creature, the Ushi-oni possesses supernatural abilities. They are able to spread poison and illness to their targets, but perhaps most fearsome of their abilities is their deadly gaze. Legend says that if you are unfortunate enough to make direct eye contact with an Ushi-oni, you will not be able to look away anymore, entrapped by their deadly stare. As your eyes remain locked, your soul slowly drains away until only a corpse is left. In this case, this myth is translated into Saturn's ability to be able to blow up the heads of those who lay eyes on him and cross his eyesight. It's unclear what the conditions for this are, but I imagine it has less to do with strength and more with Saturn deciding who is allowed to gaze upon him, not wishing the common masses to know about his appearance, since it may be a classified secret that only some upper ranks are allowed to know. But at the same time, I have to imagine this ability wouldn't work on those with strong enough haki, as it would be too broken to begin with. And there has to be a reason for him to not instantly kill Frankie, Bonney, and the others after all. This makes Saturn still a fearsome opponent, as everything seems to point to him having the Ushi-Ushinomi mythical model Ushi-oni or Yuki devil fruit, one that is awakened as well, which can give him supernatural abilities such as being able to spread illnesses or hurt others without even making direct contact. There's also the fact that Saturn appears to recognize Nika directly, and the fact that he states that he hasn't touched the surface world in a very, very long time. These all seem to point once again to the idea that Saturn has existed for a very long time, for the idea that Imo wasn't the only one to have attained the perennial youth operation, but so did the other Gorosei alongside them. After all, Even about 30 years ago, they looked incredibly similar to the present, despite Oda sharing their silhouettes to not give that detail away too clearly, and he may have even existed so long ago that he had previously encountered the Joy Boy from the Void Century, recalling his form as he sees it in Luffy now. But there is one detail regarding Saturn's powers that suddenly shift our perspective of the Gorosei in a whole other direction. Because the most important trait regarding Saturn's Devil Fruit is the fact that it is an Ushi-oni, or in other words, an Oni, a devil. Even the way in which Saturn appears upon the battlefield is like that of a devil, generating a summoning circle in the shape of a star, or planet in Japanese, much like the summoning circle of Baphomet, with 5 spikes as well as the number 5 written out, clearly standing for Gorosei, the 5 elder planets. And this could be a coincidence, but hell, even the name Saturn, thinking about it now, is spelled in Japanese as Satan, which literally sounds just like Satan, the devil itself. Saturn is summoned like a devil through this circle, emanating large hacky sparks and flames, and incarnates the form of a devil through his fruit as well. So what does this all mean? Well, this connects with the fact that the Gorosei are in fact all devils. We know that currently the celestial dragons are considered the gods of this world, but before that, during the Void Century, they were instead referred by the term of devils. Conversely, those associating with the ancient kingdom in modern times are called the devils, like the devils of Ohara or the devil's child Robin, but during the Void Century they were known as the gods of the god country. These roles were reversed after the Void Century as history was rewritten, but the truth still stands. Those at the top of the world are in truth not gods, but devils posing as gods. It's as Sabo himself said when he first witnessed the true forms of the Gorosei and Imu. Who would have thought that hell was located at the top of the world? What Sabo laid eyes on in that very moment was hell itself, a bunch of devils surrounding that empty throne, the residence of the devils who overtook the Garden of Eden atop the Red Line and usurped the country of God to build hell in its place. This means that each of the Gorosei are devils, both in nature and in their abilities as well, and with Saturn being confirmed to literally have a devil fruit that transforms him into an actual devil, it would make sense for the other Gorosei to have fruits based on devil creatures as well, which would explain why they all seem to be Zoan in some form or another, and all likely awakened too, since we saw that Nasuzuro and Mars were both awakened users as indicated by their Homuraguma scars as well. Since devils are mostly mythical creatures, it would make sense if all 5 Gorosei have awakened mythical type devil fruits, befitting for Imu's guards to possess the strongest form of fruits possible. There's a lot of different guesses we could make now with that information. Saying Marcus Mars' transformation into a rooster-like creature could suggest a devil fruit based on the demonic Abraxas, or the demon yokai Furaribi or Basan, all which look like roosters. Similarly, Jupiter's figure looks quite reminiscent of an Umibozu, the colossal demonic monsters that rise from the ocean in yokai folklore. So on and so forth. There's too many guesses we can make to narrow down anything specific, but it's a very high chance that the other Gorosei all have fruits based on other demonic yokai, or rather other devils and demons from other folklores in general around the world. Let me know if you have any ideas for what you think those could be. But then, what does that make of the one standing above them all, the king of all devils? Well, the answer is the same that I've been repeating for months over and over again. Everything seems to point to the direction that Imu is the one who stands at the highest seat of hell, the devil himself. I've said many times before that I believe Imu is the legendary figure of Umi, the sea devil that originally created the devil fruits, and that Imu's very powers are that of the sea devil himself, a cartoonish devil much like that of old cartoons that parallels the goofy cartoonish Joy Boy. so it makes sense that his guard of the 5 elder planets were all blessed with powerful mythical powers that turned them all into devils of many kinds, and even seemed to possess the power to be summoned like actual devils. This latter power to be summoned through the circle seems fairly unrelated to the powers of an Ushi-oni, so I wonder if that was granted to them by someone like Imu or something along those lines. But just as Sabo said, the top of the world is hell itself, and now we have a better idea of how the supposed gods ruling the top of the world are in fact devils, and above them all is the origin of devil fruits, the sea devil himself, who rules the world as its god after usurping its throne, shielded by his 5 strongest devils, the 5 elder planets, all which rotate around this figure, the one that stands at the pinnacle of hell itself. As a final reminder, the True History Season 2 will begin releasing just a few days, but you can catch the whole thing on Patreon right now if you want to see it ahead of time. See ya!